The Biden administration is cutting off the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That's it. No more money. This Chinese research lab that engages in very dangerous research, including gain of function, has been at the center of the fierce debate about the origin of the coronavirus. The administration making it official, imposing a 10-year ban on the funding for the lab. Yesterday, a memo written by an official in the Department of Health and Human Services released the memo. In that memo, the official claims that the Wuhan lab failed to comply with repeated requests from our National Institutes of Health for laboratory notebooks and other documents. This information is needed to establish and verify Wuhan's safety practices. The author of the HHS memo reads in part, I find that the information in the record constitutes adequate evidence to demonstrate that the immediate suspension of the Wuhan Institute of Virology is necessary to protect the public interest. Okay, before you pull your hair out, you need to know this. The Wuhan lab has not received any federal funding from NIH since July 2020. That was during the Trump administration. The Biden administration is just finally making the cutoff official. Member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer joins me. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Greta. Good to be with you.
Can we just forget ever thinking that China's going to cooperate and tell us what was going on in that lab? It's just over?
Perhaps we can, and if we do that, I think then we have to assume the worst, which I think is probably a fairly good assumption. And I don't mind telling you, it's a little bit amusing that the Biden administration has made this declaration, this proclamation, this permanent cut from all the while ridiculing several skeptics of the last few years that that have raised concerns about it. But it's always nice when we get to a place of reality, and I think that's where we are.
Well, why are we giving money to WHO? That still burns me, because I remember their January 14, 2020 tweet when they said that China says it's not contagious from human to human, which is absolutely wrong. And everybody must have known about that before. Even our CIA must have seen clusters of people getting sick in 2019 from COVID. So why are we supporting WHO in any way now?
No, I completely agree. I think when the Trump administration cut WHO off, and of course, it's not like they just stopped collaborating and cooperating. There are several other NGOs and other international organizations, maybe more regional in some cases, that do similar work that are far more, I think, charitable in their work and that we can collaborate with and work with that are more like-minded. And I think, by the way, that applies to a lot of things. Obviously, the pandemic sort of heightened our awareness of a lot of our vulnerabilities, but we ought to be looking for ways to do more things with friends and people we trust, where we sort of lead the charge rather than acquiescing, not just our dollars, but our leadership to people that, quite frankly, can't be trusted.
You know, as if you heard me talk to the last guest, I'm very disappointed in our intel community. Even the ones who wrote that letter, that ridiculous letter that 51 of them signed, saying that it was the whole thing about Hunter Biden and Russia and Russian misinformation. I mean, that was just, so now I fast forward to now, and knowing that a virus can be a WMD, and I'm wondering how much is our intel community helping us? Are there labs around the world who are going rogue? Are they doing gain of function research? And where is our intel community? Can you make me feel comfortable and safe that our intel community is really on this? Because if they're getting advice from the WHO, we're in deep trouble.
Well, no, it's an important point, and I think what the questions that I have is, are they incompetent as an intel community, or are they devious as an intel community, or are they just so hyper-political that they take their orders? Right. Which one's worse? Exactly right. I'd almost prefer incompetence, because at least you could say it's not their fault. But no, I agree.
I prefer deceitful. I prefer deceitful because you could train them, maybe.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, good point. But it's a bad set of circumstances, to say the least, and it's very frustrating. And I share your frustration.
All right. Do you know if there are other labs around the world that are doing gain of function? Do you have any way of knowing that? Because I don't think it's particularly difficult. It's hard to build a nuclear weapon, but a lab is not that hard.
Right. So good question. I don't know that there are, but I don't know that there aren't. And given this experience, once again, what it leads to is it leads to the imagination, which will go to the worst case scenario without evidence otherwise. You'd like to think that people would be trusted until proven otherwise, but we're to the point now where we don't trust first, and then you have to prove your worth. So I answer your question, I don't know, but I'm concerned, to say the least. And I think a lot of us are concerned, and which is why we have to keep ratcheting up the the oversight and going through this experience where now the Biden administration is to this point. We can't just simply pretend that, oh wow, we've been enlightened now. These are suspicions that have been around for several years, and we need to continue to seek answers to the questions that you're asking and others.
Senator Kevin Cramer, thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.